Emily had always been a modest and innocent girl, raised by her loving parents in a warm and nurturing home. She was the apple of their eye, and they had always been careful to instill in her the values of kindness, respect, and compassion. As she grew older, Emily's parents decided to send her to an all-girls school, hoping that she would thrive in an environment surrounded by like-minded individuals. The school was known for its excellent academic reputation and strong sense of community, and Emily's parents were confident that it would be the perfect place for their daughter to grow and develop. At first, Emily was excited to start at her new school. She was eager to make new friends and learn new things, and she threw herself into her studies with enthusiasm. But as she settled into her new routine, Emily began to notice that things were not quite as she had expected. The girls at her school were different from the ones she had known at home, and they seemed to have a more worldly air about them. They would often talk about boys and relationships, and Emily would listen with wide eyes, feeling a little left out. One girl in particular caught Emily's attention. Her name was Sophia, and she was a senior at the school. Sophia was beautiful and confident, with piercing green eyes and long, curly brown hair. She had a way of carrying herself that commanded attention, and Emily found herself drawn to her again and again. As they spent more time together, Emily began to feel a flutter in her chest that she had never experienced before. She didn't know what it was, but she couldn't deny the way she felt. As the days turned into weeks, Emily found herself spending more and more time with Sophia. They would study together, go for walks, and talk about their hopes and dreams. Emily felt like she had finally found a true friend. She was grateful for Sophia's guidance and support. But as they grew closer, Emily began to notice that Sophia was different from the other girls at school. She was more confident, more outgoing, and more flirtatious. Emily didn't know what to make of it, but she couldn't help feeling drawn to Sophia's charismatic personality. As the semester drew to a close, Emily found herself feeling more and more conflicted. She had always thought of herself as a straight girl, but her feelings for Sophia were growing stronger by the day. She didn't know what to do or how to process her emotions. All she knew was that she felt alive when she was with Sophia, and that she couldn't imagine her life without her. Little did Emily know, her life was about to take a dramatic turn, one that would change her forever. The school year was coming to a close, and Emily was excited to go home for the summer. But as she packed her bags and said goodbye to her friends, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was leaving a part of herself behind. She knew that she would miss Sophia, and she couldn't help wondering what the future held for them. As she walked out of the school gates, Emily felt a sense of trepidation. She knew that she would have to face her parents and her old friends, and she wasn't sure how they would react to the changes she had undergone. As she looked back at the school, Emily felt a sense of nostalgia wash over her. She had grown and changed so much in the past year, and she knew that she would never be the same again. She was excited to see what the future held, but she was also scared. She knew that she would have to navigate the complexities of her new feelings, and she wasn't sure if she was ready. But as she walked away from the school, Emily felt a sense of determination. She was ready to face whatever came next, as long as she had Sophia by her side. The summer stretched out before her, full of possibilities and uncertainties. Emily knew that she would have to make some tough decisions, and she wasn't sure what the outcome would be. But as she walked away from the school, she felt a sense of hope. She knew that she would always have Sophia, and that together they could face anything. Little did Emily know, their love was only just beginning. It would take them on a journey they would never forget. With a sense of excitement and trepidation, Emily stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the summer drew to a close, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and nervousness. She had spent the past few months thinking about Sophia and the feelings she had developed for her. She had never felt this way about anyone before, and she wasn't sure how to process her emotions. But as she thought about Sophia, Emily knew that she couldn't deny the way she felt. She was drawn to Sophia's confidence, her beauty, and her charismatic personality. When Emily returned to school, she was eager to see Sophia again. They had kept in touch over the summer, exchanging letters and talking on the phone. But as they reunited, Emily could sense a change in Sophia's behavior. She seemed more confident, more outgoing, and more flirtatious. Emily didn't know what to make of it, but she couldn't help feeling drawn to Sophia's charms. As the semester drew to a close, Emily found herself feeling more and more conflicted. She was torn between her old life and her new one, torn between her parents' expectations and her own desires. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that she had to make a choice. Would she continue down the path she was on, or would she return to her old life? The decision was hers and hers alone, but as she looked at Sophia, Emily knew that she couldn't imagine a future without her. As they spent more time together, Emily began to notice that Sophia was not just a free spirit, but also a rebel. She was always challenging the status quo, always questioning authority, and always pushing the boundaries. As Emily became more and more influenced by Sophia's rebellious nature, she began to notice a change in herself. She was becoming more confident, more outgoing, and more stubborn. She was starting to question her parents' values and their expectations of her. She was starting to wonder if she had been living a lie, if she had been pretending to be someone she wasn't. One day, Sophia convinced Emily to join her in a protest against the school's administration. The school had announced plans to implement a new dress code, one that Sophia and her friends felt was too restrictive and too conservative. Sophia was determined to fight against it, and she convinced Emily to join her. As they marched through the streets, holding signs and chanting slogans, Emily felt a sense of excitement and trepidation. She had never been one for confrontation, but Sophia's enthusiasm was infectious. She found herself getting caught up in the moment, feeling a sense of pride and purpose. But as they approached the school, Emily saw her parents standing on the sidelines, looking worried and disapproving. They had been warned about Sophia's influence, and they were determined to put a stop to it. Emily felt a pang of guilt and anxiety, knowing that she was about to confront her parents in a very public way. As the protest reached its climax, Sophia grabbed the microphone and began to speak. Her words were passionate and persuasive, and Emily found herself getting caught up in the moment. She was cheering and chanting along with the rest, feeling a sense of solidarity and purpose. But as the protest came to an end, Emily's parents approached her, looking angry and disappointed. "Emily, what are you doing?" her mother asked, her voice trembling with emotion. "You're not like this. You're a good girl, a respectful girl. What is Sophia doing to you?" Emily felt a surge of defiance, knowing that she had to stand up for herself and for Sophia. "I'm not a good girl, Mom," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "I'm a person with my own thoughts and feelings, and I'm not going to apologize for who I am." As the confrontation escalated, Emily knew that she had crossed the line. She had rebelled against her parents, against the school, and against the expectations of those around her. She was no longer the innocent, modest girl she had once been. She was someone new, someone different, and someone who was determined to forge her own path. As Emily walked away from the scene, Sophia by her side, she knew that she had started a journey that would change her life forever. She was no longer the same girl, and she was ready to face the consequences of her actions. The question was, what would those consequences be? Would she be able to reconcile with her parents, or would she have to forge a new path, one that was entirely her own? As the days went by, Emily's rebellion against her parents and the school administration only grew stronger. She and Sophia were inseparable, attending protests, rallies, and other events that showcased their defiance against the establishment. Emily's parents were at their wits' end, trying everything to get their daughter to conform to their expectations, but Emily was resolute, determined to forge her own path and live her life on her own terms. The consequences of Emily's rebellion were beginning to manifest. Her parents had cut her off financially, refusing to support her lifestyle. Emily was forced to get a part-time job to make ends meet, working long hours to support herself and Sophia. But despite the challenges, Emily was happy, truly happy. Sophia, on the other hand, was thriving in the midst of the chaos. She was a natural-born leader, and her charisma and charm had drawn a large following of like-minded individuals. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with, taking on the establishment and challenging the status quo. Emily was in awe of Sophia's confidence and conviction, and she found herself drawn to her even more. As the semester drew to a close, Emily's grades began to suffer. She was spending more time with Sophia and less time on her studies, and her parents were furious. They had always expected Emily to excel academically, and her poor grades were a disappointment, but Emily didn't care. She was too busy living her life and exploring her newfound identity. One day, the school administration called Emily into their office, threatening to expel her if she didn't shape up. Emily was defiant, refusing to back down and apologize for her actions. Sophia was by her side, supporting her and encouraging her to stand up for herself. Together, they faced the administration, refusing to back down and compromise their values. The confrontation ended with Emily being given an ultimatum: shape up and conform to the school's expectations or face expulsion. Emily was torn, knowing that her parents would be devastated if she was kicked out of school. But Sophia was resolute, encouraging Emily to stand up for herself and fight for what she believed in. As they left the office, Emily felt a sense of trepidation. She knew that she had to make a choice that would determine the course of her life. Would she conform to the expectations of others, or would she forge her own path and risk everything? The decision was hers and hers alone. As they walked out of the school, Sophia was by her side. Emily turned to Sophia and took her hand. "I'm proud of you, Emily," she said, her eyes shining with admiration. "You're brave, and you're strong. Whatever you decide, I'll be by your side." Emily felt a surge of love and gratitude towards Sophia. She knew that she had found her soulmate, her partner in every sense of the word. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way. They would emerge stronger and more in love than ever. The school administration was equally displeased. They followed through on their threat to expel her. Emily was forced to leave the only school she had ever known. She was left to navigate the uncertain waters of her future. Sophia was a rock for Emily, supporting her and encouraging her to stay true to herself. Together, they faced the fallout from Emily's decision and worked to build a new life for themselves. They found a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. They set about making it their own. They spent their days exploring the city, attending protests and rallies, and advocating for social justice. Despite the challenges they faced, Emily and Sophia were happy. They were in love and determined to make their relationship work. They spent their evenings cuddled up together, watching movies, and talking about their dreams and aspirations. They were each other's rock. They knew they could face anything as long as they had each other. But as the months went by, the reality of their situation began to set in. Emily's parents had cut her off financially, and she was struggling to make ends meet. Sophia was working multiple jobs to support them. It was a struggle. They were barely scraping by. They knew they couldn't keep living like this forever. One day, Sophia came home from work exhausted and defeated. She had been working nonstop for weeks and was at her breaking point. Emily could see the toll it was taking on her. She knew she had to do something. She sat Sophia down. They had a long talk about their future. They knew they couldn't keep living like this. They didn't know what else to do. One day, Sophia's activism took them to a small town in the countryside. They were attending a rally for social justice. As they were walking through the town, Emily saw a small church with a sign that read, "God loves you." She felt a sudden urge to go inside. Sophia, noticing her hesitation, encouraged her to follow her heart. Inside the church, Emily met a kind-hearted pastor. He listened to her story and offered her words of comfort and guidance. He shared with her the teachings of the Bible. Emily was struck by the message of love and redemption. She began to see that her desires and feelings were not in line with God's plan for her life. She felt a sense of conviction to change her ways. The pastor prayed with Emily. She felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she asked for forgiveness and deliverance. She realized that she had been living a life that was not pleasing to God. She wanted to make things right. With the pastor's guidance, Emily began to see that her relationship with Sophia was not healthy for her. She made the difficult decision to end it. Sophia was devastated when Emily told her that she wanted to end their relationship. She had never felt such a deep connection with anyone before and couldn't understand why Emily was leaving her. But Emily was resolute. She knew she had to follow her heart and do what was right. As Emily walked away from Sophia, she felt a sense of sadness and loss. She also felt peace and freedom, knowing that she was finally doing what was right. She returned home to her parents. They were overjoyed to see her. They had been praying for her deliverance. They were grateful to see her come back to them. Emily's parents welcomed her back with open arms. They worked together to rebuild their relationship. Emily apologized for her past mistakes. Her parents forgave her, grateful to have their daughter back. They attended counseling sessions together. They worked through the issues that had driven them apart. As Emily looked back on her experience, she realized she had been misled by Sophia's influence. She had been caught up in a lifestyle that was not healthy for her and was grateful to be free from it. She knew she still had a lot to learn. She was excited to start her new journey, one grounded in her faith and values. The pastor who had guided Emily became a mentor to her. He helped her on her spiritual journey. Emily attended church regularly, surrounded by people who loved and supported her. She found a new sense of purpose and meaning in her life. She was grateful for the love and forgiveness of her parents and her church community. In the end, Emily emerged from her experience with a newfound appreciation for her faith and her family. She had been through a difficult time, but came out stronger and wiser. She knew she would always be grateful for the love and support of her parents. She was excited to see what the future held for her. As Emily sat in church, surrounded by her loved ones, she felt a sense of peace and contentment. She knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. She smiled, knowing she was loved and forgiven. She would always be home, surrounded by the people and the faith that she loved.